Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another video. It's time for another Sims 4 speed build, and it's time for a huge mansion, a huge upscale dream mansion. So after university came out, I built a dorm, a sorority, I built tiny townhouses, but now it's finally time for a huge dream mansion. I just had to squeeze in a huge mansion in between all these classic university uploads. So after Island Living came out, Get Famous came out, and Realm of Magic came out, I always build a huge mansion first. This is always the first build that I create when a pack comes out, but for this pack, a mansion just didn't make that much sense, and I built the dorms, but now I'm finally here with another mansion, and I hope that you guys kind of missed the huge mansion builds. Maybe I built this on a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek. This is one of my absolute favorite lots for building mansions like this. It's not as big as 64 by 64, which can be overwhelming. I mean, if you want to do a lot of landscaping around the build and all that, it's a good size as well. But I feel like when I build a house on a 64 by 64 lot, it's just overwhelming when it comes to the floor plan and the furnishing process. So I really like to build on 50 by 50 lots for these types of mansions, because it's enough space to create a really huge over-the-top mansion, but it's still not too big. It's not overwhelming, and I really enjoy this lot. Also, the lighting is super amazing. It's the 50 by 50 residential lot in Willow Creek. It's not the Magnolia Park or whatever it's called. It's the, I think there is this colonial mansion on this lot by default. You can just bulldoze it and build whatever you want. This is what I do all the time. So this is the lot, I think. So I just knew that I would like to build something that's a bit over the top. I went a bit crazy with the landscaping. I used some debug rocks, which are part of cats and dogs. I wanted to have just a lot of stuff going on. I used the dormers that are part of university, these little roof decorations that look like windows. I wanted to include a bridge, and it's almost some type of castle build, but it's still not really a proper castle. It's like a mix between a mansion and a castle, and I really enjoyed building this. I also included a tower on the right side, just all kinds of different things. I decided to build this on multiple levels. If you want to do this, if you want to have this look where you have a section of the build at the bottom and then the rest sits on top of the terrain, just build your room at the bottom, build another room on top, and then just expand the room so the top room is kind of floating, and then just raise the terrain underneath. Because you always have to start at the bottom with a build like this. When you start on top on the terrain and then you want to add a room underneath somewhere, it's not working. You always have to work your way up from the bottom in this game. I wish there was a function to do that, because you kind of have to be aware what you want to build really. If you just start building and then you think, great, a room down there would be great, just like I did here, like this kind of layout, so I mean, you know what I'm talking about, then this is not really possible. This is also why sometimes I just start out this way. I build my room at the bottom and then I raise the terrain and all that, and then I start building, and sometimes I get rid of that. But because I started this way, I always have the option to include this, because usually while I'm building, the whole layout is kind of just coming along. I never really know what I want to build. I have a theme in mind, just like here, amazing over the top dream mansion or something, kind of like a castle, but I never really know what to expect when it comes to the layout. Here, for example, I just started in the front. I had this idea to have this front section, this area where you have just the door, and then there's another room on top, a window, a roof, and the dormer inside the roof, just all these kinds of things. And then it all came along. I decided then to include a mansard roof, but not everywhere. Some areas have all kinds of different roofs actually. When I took a look at the finished build, there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to the roofing. For this build, I had to use the custom room tool. I used it on the outside of the whole build on each level, because the way that I like to build, where I just add section after section, room after room, as you can see here, sometimes this is causing a couple of issues. So when you want to place some freezers on the outside or any type of other exterior trim, sometimes it's showing up on the inside, and then even though a room looks closed, it's not really closed. I have no idea how this really happens, because I'm usually using the regular room tool to create one closed room after another, but this is sometimes causing an issue. So what I can recommend, if you are building like this, just delete every single wall on the inside, because usually when you just add more and more rooms, there's a lot of stuff going on the inside. Just get rid of all the rooms. Then you can use the custom room tool and just go all over the whole outside basically, so you have one fully closed room for each level, and then you can start working on your floor plan. Just a word of advice if this is happening to you as well. So I added a pool underneath the bridge. For the bridge, if you want to recreate this, it's very simple. I have mentioned this a million times by now probably, especially in my tutorials, but if you are not aware, if you want to create a bridge like this on any level, when you place a room at the bottom and you use the arrow, when you move it up, all that's happening is that you are raising your foundation, and that's not what you want here, because you want to have a floating piece of floor. So what you do is you build a room, then you build another room on top, or a piece of floor. You get rid of the room at the bottom, and then it's floating. And when you now use the little arrow, you can just move it wherever you like. You can have a bridge that is only a couple of feet above the ground, for example. You can make it higher, and here I could just connect it to the floor at the top, but you can create some amazing bridges using this method. I'm going to add another diagonal one, and there you can actually see how I'm using the exact same method that I mentioned here. Underneath, I built a pool. If you want to use a fountain that's not working, this is something that I've read multiple times. I made a bridge tutorial back then, and this is something that people ask all the time. Not all the time, but it's an issue that many people have, and they say, wait, I cannot have any water underneath. It's not letting me. If this happens, it's a fountain. You can build a pool anywhere underneath any objects, but when you want to build a fountain, it's going to tell you that you cannot build fountains underneath anything. It's a weird error message. So always make sure to use a pool. You can change the color. You can just add some rocks at the edge. I mean, there's no difference. If you build a fence around it or some objects, your Sims won't be able to get inside the pool. So if you don't want the pool to function as a pool, you can always make sure that your Sims cannot access this pool, so it works like a fountain or like some type of lake. At this point, when I added the pool, so there's the bridge and the lake, it looks like some type of water castle, I have to admit. So at this point, I was kind of leaning towards building a castle, so it felt like building a castle really, but I don't know, it doesn't really look like a proper castle. It's like a really weird mix between a mansion and a castle, as I said. For the outside, I used the wallpapers, which came with University, and these are just amazing. There's also a much more natural looking one, and at first I wanted to use this one, but then I decided against this. For the color scheme, at first, as you can see here, I used a lot of white. The whole castle or mansion, no, I'm starting to call it a castle. It's super bright. There's a lot of white going on, and then I decided to change the colors for the windows, so there would be a bit of brown, a bit of a contrast. I still wanted this to look very bright and happy, but it was just overwhelming. There was so much white going on, you couldn't even see any details anymore. So I changed the color of the windows, so the frame is still white, but then on the inside there's a bit of wood. I went for a gray roof. This is a roof color which came with Get Famous actually. It has multiple swatches and it's amazing for builds like this. One of the best roof swatches that we ever got probably. I really enjoy this. The flowers on the outside are also part of University. I used a lot of stuff from this pack. After all, this is still kind of a University build. I just used other things. I once again used the wall object that came with Jungle Adventure to mimic a cornerstone, kind of. I said this before, please give us a proper cornerstone. I would really love if we had a proper cornerstone, but for now this is great. And here I'm finally working on the diagonal bridge. As you saw, I placed the room at the bottom, and as soon as I got rid of that, I could just change the height. I then removed the round section in the front for the bridge because I had to connect it somehow. I moved the lot to the back, so I was able to add some stairs in the front. I just wanted the bridge to be an eye catcher. At first I also wanted to include another diagonal bridge on the other side so it would be symmetrical, but then there just wasn't enough space and I had no idea where this would even lead to, because on the right side there's a lot of space, so the bridge leads to the backyard actually, which is also quite big. And for the section at the bottom, as you will see in the end, I just added lots of planting pots, so it's just an indoor greenhouse, and you can just use it like that. Of course, you, as always, could just put something else in there. You could always remodel that if you would like to. And as always, this build is, of course, available in the gallery. I'm starting to feel like Christmas. I really want to decorate the house very soon. Here it's tradition that you start on Monday, I think, because there is some Christian holiday on Sunday. I don't even know the English word for this, but it's tradition that you wait after this Sunday is over and then you start decorating. So this is what I'm going to do, and I'm really excited. I just love Christmas. I love decorating the house. Last year I also talked about this in a video, and then I decorated the house. I put up the Christmas tree. I was really excited, and then I stumbled and I hurt my toe, and I'm pretty certain that I broke it because it hurt so bad. I didn't get an x-ray or anything because I figured it's just a toe and they don't really do anything for that unless it's the big toe. They just tape it, and I thought, well, so I just taped it. Don't do that at home. I won't advise you to do the same thing. This is just what I did. I thought it's just a toe, so I taped it myself, and then I just moved on. But I have to say it hurt pretty bad, and in hindsight I have to say it probably wouldn't have hurt that bad if it would just be, I mean, sometimes you just hurt your toe and then it's over really quickly, but I had to deal with this like 1 or 2 weeks probably, so I don't know. And even today sometimes when I touch it, like I feel that there's something, it just hurts sometimes. But now it's too late probably. It was really stupid. So what I'm saying here, if you hurt your toe, get an x-ray even though it's just a toe. It was stupid of me. I take these things really seriously. Like I hurt multiple fingers in my life, like once while playing basketball, and I think the second time was also playing basketball in school. So I was trying to catch the ball, but then the ball only touched the tip of my finger, and then it just pulled my finger completely to the back with full force, and then I had to wear a cast on my hand and all that. And I take these things very seriously, because if you don't do that, it just can heal wrong, and then you might not be able to properly move your finger, and you can just have some issues. You always have to get things like this checked out, and I take this very seriously. But in this case I thought, oh well, just a toe, what could happen? I mean, it doesn't affect me in my daily life. I don't have any pain or something, but when I touch it, I noticed that it's not quite right. So I guess I indeed broke my toe while decorating the Christmas tree, which is really super weird. So how this happened, in case you're asking yourself, how did this happen? I kind of stumbled, and then I was kind of lunging forwards to catch myself, but there was no space for my foot to land because there was the sofa, and then the toe just kind of, I don't know, it happened so fast, but there was not enough space for my foot to land, and then the toe, I don't know, it's horrible. But I don't want to bore you with my toe story, like Toy Story is really weird. But yeah, however, I'm going to decorate the tree in the next days. Here it's tradition to decorate your tree on December 24, actually, in the morning. But then it kind of became one more thing that people put up the tree earlier, especially with the rise of fake plastic trees, because you don't have to worry about them falling apart by Christmas, basically, so they don't dry up. And I also have a plastic tree that I use every single year, and I just put it up super early. I just love this. I love the Christmas lights. I always use plastic decorations because the cat is freaking out, and I couldn't use any beautiful proper Christmas decorations. I mean, they look like the real deal kind of, but it's still not the same thing. I inherited a lot of Christmas tree decorations by my grandmother, and they're just the most beautiful thing ever. She collected them over her whole life. They have all kinds of different colors. Mostly people go for one color scheme, so they have, for example, this is what I do, gold and red, for example, but she just had all kinds of different decorations. It's super colorful, blue and pink and red and just gold, everything. And then she also collected some special ball ornaments that she received from her son, for example, a San Francisco one, I think, that he gave to her and all that stuff. And I inherited all these decorations because my other family members don't really like to put up their tree, but now I still cannot use them because I cannot trust my cat around these decorations. So they mean a lot to me, so I won't put them on a tree where the cat is kind of trying to get them from the tree. I won't do that. I mean, she's not the worst with Christmas decorations. I know that it's a horrible situation with some cats, but I still won't trust her around these very precious decorations. They are like a treasure to me, honestly. So on the interior, as you just saw, I used a lot of white as well, so the interior has the same style as the exterior. Basically, I used the new modern sofas which are part of university, and you can combine 2 sofas and 1 armchair to create this type of sofa here. It just kind of goes around a corner and it looks super amazing. Just make sure that you've activated the move objects cheat and hold down Alt on your keyboard so the objects won't stab to the grid. This way you can position them freely. I also added an office and I placed many bookshelves. Once again, they are part of university, I think, and I just wanted to have one really huge, luxurious office, almost like some type of home library. I used a dining table instead of a regular desk just so it looks even bigger, and I just had to fill in the whole space. I placed a chess table in the living room so I didn't have to place this here, so I just placed the easel here and that's it. And then at the top, this is just the hallway, so you go up the stairs and this is where you end up. I also used some sofas of university once again. They are beautiful. They have this pink color, so there's a new modern one and a more rustic looking one, and I used the rustic one. And this is one of the bedrooms. There are 3 bedrooms in total, and this bedroom here is an ensuite. As you can see, I just made it look very rustic, and because of the mansard roof on the outside, some rooms don't have any windows at all because behind this wall is a roof, for example. So the whole layout is a bit different, so some rooms don't have a window and I wasn't able to add one, which is not a problem. I think this is a beautiful kids room. As you can see, here's a window. It's a beautiful sun flooded, bright, happy room. The door is just in a weird corner. I just really had to figure out how to do this floor plan because the whole house has a super weird shape kind of, so I just made sure that the shape of each individual room kind of makes sense. And yeah, this is almost it. This video is very slowly coming to an end. You can here now see how I work on the backyard, and there are some stairs leading up to the room at the top, and I added some planting pots, as I said. And please let me know in the comments down below what you think of this build, and also let me know what are your Christmas traditions. I also asked this last year and I got many wonderful replies about your Christmas traditions, and maybe by now here are a couple of new viewers, so I would really appreciate if you would like to share your Christmas traditions with us, and if you enjoy Christmas and if you celebrate it, or if you are from any other part of the world. If you don't celebrate Christmas, just let me know what you think, what you are celebrating, what's going on, and yeah. So this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You can find this build in the gallery. I hope you enjoyed this build. I hope you have a perfect weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.